Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. If you are new, please hit the subscribe button. If you are into free-to-play content, budget content, deck building discussions, anything like that, please hit the subscribe button. My name is Spellslinger, and Master Duel is a very expensive game. It is very expensive to try to get all of the ultra rares that you need to play. Run out dry. Master Duel gives you a ton of gems to start out with, but after the first week, not a lot you can do about that. So with that being said, this is a true Draco list with no ultra rares. I did a similar thing with an Adamantipator deck with a couple days ago. Go check that out if you're interested as well, but this is a true Draco list without any ultra rares. Super budget friendly, and a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So we'll just go ahead and get straight into it. So with this deck, we are obviously aiming to control our opponent's board as much as possible. With that being said, we are playing a ton of pseudo floodgates and a lot of tech cards to go into this deck, a lot of draw cards to try to see as much of our monsters as possible, but we'll go ahead and get into that now. So first things first, we're going to start off with the true Draco monsters. We are playing two of the Majesty Maiden, the true Draco caster. All of the true Draco monsters can be tribute summoned by tributing continuous spell or traps as well as monsters as well, but because we only play a little amount of the monsters themselves, we're playing two of the Majesty Maiden to try to get into more of those monsters and see more of those monsters as quickly as possible. All of the true Draco monsters have the same effect. When your opponent does something, you can activate the effect. The Majesty Maiden, you can add a true Draco or true King monster from your deck to your hand. The Ignis, you can add or activate a true Draco or true King continuous spell, and the Dynamite Knight, a true Draco or true King continuous trap directly from the deck, and you can activate the spell and the trap directly from the deck on your opponent's turn, which can be awesome when you're going into things such as True King's Return, Draco Apocalypse, to try to clear up monsters and back row and things along those lines. But with that being said, we're playing two of the Majesty Maiden, three of the Ignis Heat, and three of the Dynamite Knight. We want to see this as often as possible, and there aren't a ton of ways to actually search them out, besides, of course, the Majesty Maiden and the Dragonic Diagram, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. Like I said, we already went over the effects, and these are the ratios we're playing them at. Carded Demise is at 3 in Master Duel, so we are playing it at 3. Draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the turn, but you have more cards, and most of this deck is are things that you can set to get rid of that, because at the end of the turn you have to discard your entire hand, which is fine. We can just set or go into more plays. So we're playing 3 of the Card of Demise. As far as our draw spells, we're playing 3 of the Pot of Duality as well as the Desires. We do not special summon in this deck at all, so we need so Pot of Duality is completely fine, and we don't want to play the Pot of Extravagance or whatever the other pot is that lets us dig 3 deeper, because we don't have an extra deck, and there is a card that I'll get into later that explains why we do not have an extra deck. So play the 3 Pot of Duality, 3 Desires, just so we can dig into our deck as quickly as possible. Dragonic Diagram, all true Draco, true King monsters gain 300 attack and defense, which is awesome. Our guys are already pretty big, but it makes them even bigger, and the first time that they would be destroyed by battle, they are not, which is also really cool. We're playing 3 of the and also you can destroy a True King or True Draco card, and then add a True King or True Draco card from your deck to your hand. So definitely want to play that. If we were playing ultra rares, we would absolutely play a copy of Terraforming, because we want to see this as often as possible. We're playing 3 copies of True Draco Heritage. During the main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King card types, monster, spell, and traps that were sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. Because you're tributing off these cards, if you have this open, you can just keep digging into your deck further. And also with all of the true Draco spells and traps, for the most part, have a secondary effect where you can activate the effect, and then as soon as it resolves, you can get an additional tribute summon, which is awesome. So this deck is just tribute summons. There's no special summoning. That's why we play the Pot of Duality. But yeah, true Draco Heritage, we play at 3. We also play Disciples of the True Draco. Target three True Draco monsters or True King cards in the graveyard and shuffle them into the deck and draw one. Which is also really good. We go through a lot of the spell and traps, so good to just keep shuffling them back and keep drawing and see what we can get off of there. The True Draco spells and traps, the Return and the Apocalypse have a secondary effect where if they're sent to the graveyard from the field, you can destroy a monster on the field, and then the spells, the True Draco spells, if they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you can, I'm sorry, the Return and the Apocalypse, if they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you can destroy a monster on the field, and then the spells, if they're sent from the field to the graveyard, you can destroy spell and trap on the field, which is also really good. Because we tribute over them, obviously they sent to the graveyard, activate the effectors to clean up our opponent's board. We're playing a little bit of a tech card here. We are playing the Monarch Stormforth. Because we do so much tributing, if there is a big monster that we can't get over, we can activate this and just tribute over our opponent's monster to get out our monsters that we tribute summon, which is awesome. So a little bit of a tech card there, which is really cool. After that, we are playing two Rivalry of Warlords. Each player can only control one type of monster. All three of the monsters that we are playing are all worms, so that's not something that we have to worry about. So it's just a really good continuous trap that we can play to make it harder for our opponent to play the game. 3 copies of Skill Drain. I don't know why it's at 3, but it is so good in decks like this that don't really have to have their monsters on the field if we're already established. And then along the same lines, the Monarch's Erupt. It is a skill drain if we don't have, if we have no cards in our extra deck and we control a tribute summoned monster, which all of these will be, then it's just a skill drain. And then during the end phase, if we control no tributed summoned monsters, then we have to send the Monarch's Erupt, which is fine. But we effectively play 6 copies of skill drain, which is awesome. And the Monarch's Erupt is a normal rarity, so it's super easy, super budget to make. And then after that, I talked a little bit about the True King's Return and Apocalypse, their secondary effects, but the main effects, you can target to the, for Return, you can target a True Draco or True King monster in the graveyard and special summon in defense, and then for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon. So there are, I forgot about this, outside of this, we don't special summon, but we hardly ever go into True King's Return as a way to actually summon it. We normally just use it as a way to either tribute over or as a way that we activate another card to get it into the graveyard so we can pop more of our opponent's board. And then along the same lines, True Draco Apocalypse. This is actually a really cool card and has some interesting things that you'll see in the replay that we do here in just a second. You can target another True Draco or True King card that you control, destroy it, and then if you do, the attack and defense of all monsters your opponent controls become half of their current, even if this card leaves the field, so it's just permanent, which is cool. So what you can do is you can activate True Draco Apocalypse, sending something like True King's Return. It'll half all of your opponent's monster's attack, and then you can activate the effect of the True King's Return to destroy a monster or a spell if you send the spells, and just keep cleaning up your opponent's board so when it gets past you, you have an easier time doing damage and going for game. But that is the deck. This is the super budget, super free-to-play, friendly version of the deck. We'll go ahead and get into a replay now, but hope you have enjoyed. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We'll go ahead and get into the replay now. Alright, so getting into this replay, a lot of these replays that I have are a lot of fun, and I try to showcase the best parts about this deck or what this deck is like super good at. For here, what we end up doing, we don't open any of our monsters or any ways to get to our monsters, but we do open Rivalry, Skill Drain, and the Apocalypse. We go ahead and activate the effect of the Duality, we reveal the Monarch's Erupt, and a couple True Draco cards. We just go ahead and add the True King's Return, and then pass it to our opponent. Unfortunately, there isn't a ton that we can do to get around that. At this point, I was just praying that they didn't have something like Feather Duster, but they're playing Pendulum. They activate the call, and we go ahead and want to flip these up as soon as possible just so we can activate their effects and go into some disruption plays when we get the chance. So This goes ahead and resolves. They go ahead and add a couple of cards, and they from here will go ahead and scale up the Dragon Pulse Magician as well as the Dragon Pit Magician. Normal summoning out the Skullcrobat Joker, and here is where we flip up the skill drain, paying the 1,000 to activate it in general, and then this resolves skill drain, and then the Skullcrobat will be negated. And then they go ahead and just Pendulum Summon, activate the effect of the Flame Strike to destroy our skill drain. Then we activate the effect of the True King's Return, since they did have the Odd Eye Synchron. We didn't want them to get into any further synchro plays or anything like that, so we activate the effect of the True Draco Apocalypse, destroying the True King's Return, which halved their all of the opponent's attack. And then the True King effect we go ahead and use on the tuner to destroy that. They go ahead and just get into, for a little bit of damage, main 2, and they go into a Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, probably just walling up a little bit, wanting to, but from here, what we do, we draw and we go into a Majesty Maiden, which is really nice. So we go ahead and tribute off of that, activate the effect of the Apocalypse to destroy the Rebellion, and then activate the Disciples. Get in for a little bit of damage. Not a whole lot we can do after that. We're still sitting on a Rivalry of Warlords. So we go ahead and pass it back to our opponent. Main phase 1, they go ahead and Pendulum Summon out the they summon out the Odd Eyes as well as the Pendulum Dragon, and from here we activate the Rivalry and they keep the dragon, of course, get over our Majesty Maiden, unfortunately, but from here they go ahead and just end on the Pendulum Dragon, which is not the worst thing in the world, but we do draw the Dynamite Knight from off the top, which is awesome. So we activate the effect of the Disciples, shuffling back 3 cards and then drawing. Hey, that's awesome. So we go ahead and get a card of Demise, which we use to draw Heritage and a Pot of Duality. Activate the Pot of Duality to add a True King's Return. Set the sorry, I'm getting a little jumbled here. Activate the Heritage, tribute summon the Draco, the Dynamite Knight. Activate the Heritage. A little bumpy there. And then we end on the Dynamite Knight plus Warlords and a couple of spell and trap things here. So they go ahead and activate the effect here, and then we chain the Dynamite Knight, activating from deck a True Draco Apocalypse. Then they destroy our Rivalry of Warlords with the effect of the Dragon Pit, and then they Pendulum Summon back out the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. But we activate the effect of the Apocalypse, sending a Disciples to half the attack of the Pendulum Dragon, so it won't be able to crash with our Dynamite Knight, and from there we destroy one of their scales, which goes to the extra deck. From there they can't really do anything else, so they just decide to pass it back to us, and we draw a Monarch's Erupt with it, which is effectively another skill drain. So we go ahead and just go battle phase with our Dynamite Knight, destroy the Pendulum Dragon, and pass it to our opponent. So they go ahead and draw for turn. Main phase 1, scale up the Pendulum Dragon. We go ahead and chain the Draco Fighter to activate directly from our deck a copy of the True King's Return, just cycling through all of our trap cards that have the secondary effect that destroy the monsters. So as soon as they summon out, we go ahead and activate the Monarch's Erupt, so that'll disrupt their plays that they want to go into. They activate the effect, sending their Pendulum Dragon, and then just pass it back to us, which is great. So we're in a really good position here. And then we draw another Rivalry of Warlords, activate the effect of the Apocalypse, sending the Heritage, which will destroy their other scale, set the Warlords, and then attack over their monster. What my goal with this replay specifically, it's super grindy, but we are firmly in control this entire time. While we don't have access to a ton of our monsters in this replay, this kind of just shows what the deck is capable of when we get into these super grindy games. We're just able to generate a ton of advantage with the things that we can do. They can try to get out their monsters, summon as much as they want, but with the tools that we have at our disposal here, we just keep destroying whatever they do. So they set their scales up. and we activate the effects to destroy the monsters that they summon. We aren't drawing any of our monsters, which is the problem, but again, it's just not an issue because we have so many control tools at our disposal. It's just not a problem at all. So we go ahead and flip up the copy of the Apocalypse that we just drew, and again, they're going to go ahead and attempt to summon, and we activate again the effect of the Apocalypse to send the Apocalypse Destroy. They activate a copy of Duelist Alliance, and of course we chain the Draco Fighter. Just this entire time, we're just getting the advantage and resources that we need to keep our opponent off and in top deck mode as much as possible. So they add the Pendulum Reborn, set it, and then just end their turn. So from there, we go ahead and rip off the top another monster about time. So we tribute summon out the Ignis Heat. They're going to activate the Pendulum Reborn. And we're going to chain the Ignis Heat to activate directly from our deck a copy of the Disciples of the True Draco. And then from there, again, just more Pendulum Summoning, activate the effect of the Apocalypse to send the True King's Return to destroy again, and from there we are successfully able to get in for game. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have fun with the deck. If there are any decks that you would like to see budget with no URs, then definitely let me know. I have been Spellslinger. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.